younger division like battle going on right here. We have Andrew going up against Jacob Moore Matisse. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, Jacob is junior. He's come down here to hang out. He's from the NorCal region. I've been playing for about a year now. Yeah, should be an interesting match. Juniors and younger seniors matches typically run pretty high offense pretty quick. Both these teams are very aggressive. Let's see, we've got a Lily Cole team on the one side, it looks like.
Yeah, it does look like a Lily Cole from Andrew, and interestingly to know, there is a Charizard on that team, and typically you see Charizard and teams back in the day, back in Sword and Shield, you know, they nearly won the World Championships in the Masters division, but interesting pick here out of the younger divisions. You know, as you said, hyper offense tends to be like the most simplest thing to understand because young minds tend to have a little bit of a hard time comprehending complicated things, but as we see on Jacob's side, his team is the Fluttermane, the Urshifu Single Strike, Landorus, Tornadus Incarnate, Heatran, and Rillaboom.
Yeah, Jacob's leaning a little more into the balance, but it's definitely a high offense balance.
It depends on how you view balance.
Yeah, it's still going to be pretty aggressive. He's going to be pretty aggressive.
Yeah, then let's just specify things from Andrew's side. You got the Fluttermane, Torkoal, Charizard, Tornadus Incarnate, Lillian, Hisuian form, and the Chi-Yu here. So free fire types, you know, you definitely want to have the sun up. And oh goodness gracious, I'm looking at these team sheets. There is no means of getting rid of the sun at all.
Oh no, Jacob plays with the sun, so he's happy there. We're gonna see whether Andrew can deal with Heatran with Flash Fire ability.
I mean, there are ways to get around it. There are ways.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. It's probably not legal right now. I mean, we're talking about we're all speculating things that Regulation F now that the rule set's out, and it's going to be live in a week, but that week's not going to be happening just yet, as we still have to do our farewell tour of Regulation E, and both players are locked and loaded here. Gotta say, I think that what you said about Jacob's Heatran is going to be mattering for their team, and for Andrew, I would have to assume it's somewhere with the Hisuian Lilligant or the Charizard even.
Pretty cool to see Charizard. Too bad there's no Dynamax, right? Don't get to have that G-Max Charizard.
No, we do not, but instead we are into round number 1 here, and Jacob will send out the Tornadus and the Urshifu Single Strike to start. Andrew going straight for the sun with Lilligant and Torkoal. Drought going to activate the Sunlight, will turn harsh. And for those of you at home that have no idea what the sun does, sun for 5 turns, unless the Pokemon's holding a Heat Rock, will boost the power of fire type attacks and lower the power of water type attacks, and activate certain abilities like Still against Chlorophyll.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of speed control here. Jacob obviously bringing the Tornadus to presumably provide some in Tailwind, but Lilligant with After You lets Torkoal, who's normally really slow, go really early in the turn.
And there's the Urshifu going for the Single Strike form, and there's the Dark Terra, so we're going to get rid of the fighting weakness and boost the power of moves like the Wicked Blow here. Torkoal will protect here, but that's not exactly the best thing to do in front of an Urshifu.
Not going to help with Urshifu, no.
No, but it will help against Sucker Punch, thankfully.
Yeah.
I mean, if it went into the Torkoal slot, obviously, Tornadus is just going to go for the tail and get the speed control. In fact, what does Lillian do for Andrew here? It goes for the Sleep Powder and it connects to the Urshifu, so Sucker Punch wouldn't even have worked.
Ooh. That puts Urshifu asleep. We'll see whether Jacob can deal with that.
So I find it interesting that Urshifu went for the Sucker Punch there on the turn 1. I wonder who the target was, because neither Lillian nor Torkoal attack, so I had to wonder who he tried to Sucker Punch there.
That's a good question. Probably Torkoal. He's probably expecting that after you first turn after you an eruption Torkoal, but I will see whether he can deal with that.
So there is the After You for Nilo again. So now with the After You playing, Torkoal is going to take its Kind Offer and attack immediately with the Eruption, with the Sun, and the Charcoal.
So much damage.
It is not enough to knock high their Pokemon. It's activating this Focus Sash on the Urshifu, so we know Tornadus at least is able to survive one of those attacks. Yeah, and it takes its first turn to sleep.
Yeah, it is a very bulky Tornadus. Not built for this particular combat, but of course. And it will take Lilligant down. It's Sash.
Yeah, thanks to the Bleakwind Storm being quad effective to aggressive fighting type Lilligant, does decent damage to the Torkoal, will weaken the Eruption a little bit.
Quite a decent amount, yeah, but Torkoal still has some pretty useful things, and obviously Tornadus and Urshifu don't have a whole lot of hit points left. We'll have to see if Urshifu is able to wake up beginning of this turn or not.
It could wake up because it took his first turn of sleep here, but there are the chances that the Urshifu doesn't wake up here to Tornadus.
Yep.
could also just get double Weakling Storm again, depending on whether or not it goes for the after you or go for something like that Solar Blade or close combat here. But Jacob going to switch out the Urshifu, knowing that it might be detrimental for a later strategy, and Heatran's going to come out.
That Heat Wave's going to do very little to Heatran except activate Flash Fire.
Tornado's protecting, so if this was a Heat Wave coming up from the Torkoal, I had to debate what the Lilligant did here. Going for another after you. Unfortunately, it's not a close combat. That would have went to the side, which probably would have been the safer option here. Instead, the Heat Wave going to hit through Protect and hit into the Flash Fire of the Heatran, which is going to power up his Fire type attacks.
Yep. Now we're...
And let's see with this Heatran here. It has Earth Power, which does threaten the Torkoal. It also can go for its own Heat Wave, but it has to be mindful of the Lilligant's close combat because you've already used up your Terra on your Urshifu, so you don't have a way to escape that close combat.
Yes. Got to figure out exactly how to handle this Heatran here. Got a couple different options, obviously. Close combat and Earth Power are both good against it.
And to protect is going to be the option to make sure the Heatran stays safe for this turn. But it didn't even go for the Heatran there. And there's a close combat into the Tornadus instead. So the lower defense is not going to matter right there because it's at 1 HP and a Focus Sash. Tornadus does go down, so no more speed control for the rest of the battle. Heatran, and it was going to be threatened by that Earth Power. So if now you're Andrew in this situation, oh, Talon's gone too, most importantly. If you're Andrew, you're probably going to be feeling good about this right now.
Probably. We'll see what Jacob brings his fourth one. Oh, that's a pretty good one for being in the sun.
Yeah, the Flutter Mane is going to activate the Protosynth thanks to the harsh sunlight, activating its primal power, going to multiply its special attack stat.
And it is choice specs, so it's really multiplying here.
Yeah,
let's see if Andrew has any answer for booster special attack and choice specs Flutter Mane.
And that's not even the booster energy, that's the Protosynthesis being active.
Exactly, yeah. Proto special attack.
Solar Blade going to be the option for the Lilligant here. It does outspeed both the Flutter Mane and the Heatran. This Solar Blade will be hitting into this Flutter Mane. It's not known for its physical bulk at all, so let's see if it takes it. Any chance? No, it will not. Well, that's a one-hit KO.
Oh my goodness. That's the way to answer it, I guess.
Does Heatran go to Earth Power here? Yep, Earth Power into the Torkoal. Will this be enough? And it will be, so it is a 1-for-1 trade of Flutter Mane for a Torkoal, but I think I don't know. I feel like you would rather have the Flutter Mane in this situation as the Life Orb is going to drain at Heatran's health and the Sun Fade.
Well, now we have this sleepy Urshifu. We'll see if that wakes up. And Andrew still got some pretty powerful Pokemon on the side. Yeah,
the Flutter Mane will be coming out for Andrew. Jacob going to once again send out that 1 HP Urshifu that still has to take at least, well, it's already taking a turn of sleep, so it needs to be able to have the ability to wake up in this very moment because if not, this Flutter Mane can just easily end the battle, but Flutter Mane also has to deal with the fact that you are dealing with a Heatran that generally favors against this Flutter Mane.
Yes. Yeah, Heatran does have a Steel move with Flash Cannon, so it can do a lot, it can take out that Flutter Mane. But what the Lilligant does, of course, is...
Yeah, that's another thing to mention about Andrew as he's considering the translation on his Flutter Mane, because if the Urshifu wakes up this turn, you got to translate it, and it is going to be confirmed.
I think it's going to be the waking up is going to be the question. If it wakes up, then this is a pretty favorable position for Jacob. If it doesn't wake up, pretty difficult.
Not only that, because now you get rid of the ghost typing, so if Urshifu does wake up and go for a Sucker Punch into the Flutter Mane, it wouldn't be enough to knock it out, I wouldn't think. Mm-hmm. And it does take another turn of sleeping as it tries to go for a Sucker Punch.
Well, yeah.
Dazzling Gleam comes out. This is going to knock out the Urshifu. The question just becomes how much damage will this do to the Heatran with that Fairy Feather, and it is pretty minuscule.
Yeah, it's very, very, very resisted, of course. Interesting question, though, is going to be how much does the Lilligant do to the Heatran?
Close combat is going to be the choice from this Lilligant here. After its Paddle Cry, going to go ahead and knock out the Heatran, and that's a pretty convincing victory for Andrew there on the game 1.
Yeah, I think that sleep on turn 1 against Urshifu, it really is going to come down to that Sucker Punch. If he had flicked something other than Sucker Punch on turn 1, I think that game would have gone very differently. But that first turn choice of Protect and Sleep from Andrew was really, really critical to winning that first game.
Yeah, I have to go back to turn 1 as well, because Jacob did try to go for a Sucker Punch, presumably against that Torkoal, and Torkoal was just protecting on the safest turn possible, and you had to wonder if Urshifu didn't go for the Sucker Punch and took that one turn of sleep, if it did connect with that sleep pattern, wouldn't have been able to do much of anything in that situation.
Yeah, exactly, and if Urshifu had woken up, would have been a different game as well, but Sleep is pretty powerful in this game, and being able to take out your opponent's most powerful Pokemon for a couple turns is pretty helpful. We'll see if Andrew and Jacob make different choices on their second game here, whether Jacob brings in maybe the Landorus, possibly. Rillaboom, obviously not necessarily the most appealing Pokemon, given all the fire. But Landorus does have some rock and ground moves.
I'm really looking at the Lilligant here out of Andrew, because I think the Lilligant did the most problems to Jacob. It took a knockout on Tornadus with close combat, flooded him with Solar Blade, and it helped middle the damage. It took a knockout on Heatran, and theoretically took a knockout on Urshifu as well.
Yep.
So it's like, if you're Jacob, how do you deal with something like the Silly Lilligant in the sun here? And we're probably not going to get the answer immediately out of both of us, because both players have locked in their teams.
Now let's see what Jacob brings to counter this here. You know, sometimes in juniors, it's always a question of do you do the same thing again, right, or do you do something very different? And sometimes doing the same thing again is actually helpful because your opponent thinks you're going to do something different and doesn't.
Yeah, sometimes just daring people to beat your team is like, that's probably like one of the more better things you could do as a player. Because if you don't beat the same core again, yep. That's pretty much the way the teams falter here. And Jacob saying, "I dare you to beat Single Strike Urshifu Tornadus again." Yep. And Andrew gonna go Tornadus and Charizard.
Two completely different Pokemon for sure.
This Tornadus here for Andrew does carry the Sunny Day move again, so he can just give the Charizard all the power it needs with the Solar Power and the Life Orb here. Terrestrialization gonna happen for Jacob's Urshifu the Dark once again.
See whether he Sucker Punches again or if he goes with the Wicked Blow.
I'm also paying attention to what these Tornaduses do, and Andrews is faster. It's going to go ahead and taunt Jacob's Tornadus here. It is unfortunately, though, holding the Mental Herb, which is going to shake it off the taunt.
Yeah, and Jacob's goes second on purpose, not for this matchup.
There's Tailwind coming in here for
Wicked Blow. Where's that going into is the question.
It's into the Charizard. Its bulk's not really been known for, and yeah, you don't really take a Terra Dark Wicked Blow at all that well.
No.
So
if you let Urshifu go off, this is what happens.
Yeah, now comes the Flutter Mane for Andrew. We do know it's Fairy Feather, so although it does have the Focus Sash, you still have to worry about Wicked Blow and Sucker Punch, because without Terrestrializing the Fairy, you're pretty much going to be kissing it goodbye, because you don't have the most best physical bulk ever, and yeah, we are going to see the Terra Fairy from Flutter Mane.
Yeah, now one of the things Andrew is going to get a benefit from here doing that taunt turn one, even though it didn't work, he's going to be Tailwind one turn later than Jacob, so they're going to have 3 turns of overlap, right? And then that 4th turn, Andrew is actually going to have Tailwind up if Jacob doesn't take his either take his Tornadus out or keep it alive for that many turns.
There's a Dazzling Gleam from Andrew with the Fairy Terra and the Fairy Feather. Does all around half the Tornadus and takes Urshifu easily down to his Focus Sash. Yeah. I imagine another Wicked Blow comes out. And I wonder if it goes into Tornadus here. Actually, no, it just goes into the Flutter Mane here. It is able to survive thanks to the Fairy Terra.
The Bleakwind Storm going to hit?
Bleakwind Storm did miss something. It missed the Tornadus. It's going to get the knockout on the Flutter Mane.
There we go. Yeah. So I think that's the one Jacob's going to pick. If he's going to miss one and hit one, I think he's happy with that trade.
And that's 2 Pokemon down for Andrew. And this Urshifu has done so much damage. And oh my goodness, there is just a Chi-Yu left for Andrew. And it is a Choice Scarf. So you have to pick your move wisely, because if there's a Heatran in the back and you lock yourself into a Fire type attack, Tornadus is kind of left in the dark. And yeah, what do you do here if you're Andrew?
And I think you expect a Sucker Punch coming from Jacob here, because he knows Urshifu isn't going to survive anything with the 1 hit point left. But we'll see whether he switches out into Heatran or pushes that Sucker Punch. Positioning in juniors is definitely often a challenge, but we'll see if he reads the situation correctly.
No, it's going to be the Landorus actually coming in for Jacob. So the Landorus Darien going to come out here, get the Intimidate on both the Tornadus and Chi-Yu. Unfortunately, they're special attackers, but preserving Tornadus could be beneficial, and Urshifu is just going to detect here. So both these Pokemon for Andrew kind of have a free turn to go for an attack. Dark Pulse is the choice for the Chi-Yu here. It's going to be using it for the rest of the battle. Bleakwind Storm going to hit and protect. Does it hit into the Landorus? It does.
It hits the Landorus and finishes it. Yeah, it's possible Jacob was trying to see what the Chi-Yu was going to lock in there. Get him to lock into the Dark move, possibly. I don't know. Because as you said, his choice. So now he knows he can definitely Sucker Punch it next turn since it's not going to be hitting.
Tornadus is going to return to the battlefield. And Chi-Yu, now that it's locked to the Dark Pulse, it only really does one Pokemon at a time, so...
Yeah, now is this the turn that Jacob loses his Tailwind?
I think it might be.
I think so. So that may be why the Tornadus came back. We still don't know what his fourth Pokemon is. So is he Transcend in the back there or something else?
No, we really don't know just yet. And Dark Pulse does try to knock on all of Jacob's Pokemon as of right now, but Sucker Punch is still starting to do a lot of damage, although I don't think it's going to be knocking out a resisted Chi-Yu.
Yeah, this Bleak Wind Storm, Jacob doesn't do the Tailwind. Let's see what the Urshifu did. Did not Sucker Punch.
Did not Sucker Punch, and that's a Dark Pulse getting straight into the Urshifu, and down it goes. I think Jacob was trying to predict... Actually, no, wait a minute. Jacob's Tailwind runs out this turn. I think he protected just to get another Tailwind reset.
It runs out this turn. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, there's the Bleak Wind Storm going to go ahead and hit into the Protect. And so now it's down to Tornadus and one last Pokemon for Jacob as Tailwind Peters.
Let's see what it is.
And it's Flutter Mane, that's the last Pokemon.
Now, Jacob doesn't have his Mental Herb anymore. So if Andrew chooses to taunt again, it would work.
Yeah, that's another 50-50 you have to go for, because like if you go for the taunt and it doesn't go for the Tailwind, you just get double attacked, and unless Dark Pulse knocks out Flutter Mane, you might be looking at a lot of damage here for Andrew, and suddenly this battle's not over.
Yeah, and Jacob didn't...
There's a Tailwind, no taunt attempt came out.
He doesn't have Terra, right? He used that for the Urshifu, so he does, if he doesn't successfully knock out... Oh.
Flutter Mane does take it beautifully, doesn't get flinched, unfortunately. Moonblast is enough to knock out the Tornadus. So now it's down to a one-on-one situation between the Chi-Yu and the Tornadus, but...
And this turn, they lost the Tailwind. So that means it's going to be Moonblast going before...
Oh, yeah, the Moonblast's going to go first into this Chi-Yu. Does so much damage and lowers the special attack stat. Bleak Wind Storm going to connect, and we're going to game 3.
Does hit. Okay, yeah, that's always a little stressful when you're in a situation where you got Bleak Wind Storm hits or it doesn't hit, right? You never know with those 80% moves.
You never know indeed, and that's going to be a game 3 here as Jacob equalizes a set.
Yeah, so the question now is, are we going to have another repeat of game 1? Are we going to see Lilycole out again, or you think we're going to stick with the Charizard and see what Charizard can do?
If it did anything at all, because it never got a chance to shine.
True. It can do something different.
And that's something I really had to notice, is I think Lilligant, looking back at Jacob's 4 in that battles, Tornadus, Urshifu, Landorus, Flutter Mane, I definitely think the Landorus was there for that Lilligant, if you really want to think about it that way.
Yeah, and I think it was interesting not seeing Heatran in that matchup with a team that's so fire reliant. Not bringing Heatran against it was definitely an interesting choice.
I mean, it's definitely interesting, but I think the Lilligant might have scared it away, if I'll be honest.
True. Yeah, there are a lot of... While Heatran's great for preventing the fire moves, it's weak to a lot of stuff on Andrew's side. There's the close combat on Lilligant, there's Earth Power on Torkoal.
Focus Blast on Charizard.
Focus Blast on Charizard, that's always an interesting move. Almost everything can do some significant damage to Heatran except for Flutter Mane. So.
Yeah, I really am not... Well, just each Flutter Mane is kind of like beneficial on both games, but it's like one did better than the other on both occasions, and I'm just thinking really hard about, well, what can Andrew do? Because I feel like the Lilligant's the main win condition, because I mean, there was definitely a point where Chi-Yu didn't have to click a fire move, because you have to respect the Heatran, because if the Heatran comes out and you don't have a way to touch it, it's pretty much an automatic loss at that point.
Yeah, and Chi-Yu here has 3 fire moves and 1 dark move. It's interesting. It doesn't have... I don't think what Chi-Yu normally runs when it has another move.
Snarl's one interesting choice here, and once again, Jacob gonna send in Tornadus Urshifu for a 3rd game in a row. Andrew went Tornadus again, but instead of Charizard, it's Flutter Mane.
Yeah, no, Andrew knows not to taunt this time. Goes for the offense here, it looks like.
You really gotta contend with this Urshifu, because not only does it have a focus dash, so it has to take 2 hits in order to get knocked out, it also has to deal with the Terra Dark Wicked Blow, which, as we've seen, does a lot of damage.
Yes.
And not only that, Rinsing Fist is going to make sure that neither Pokemon is safe even if they protect. And let's see what's going to be happening around here. And you're going to Terra first with the Flutter Mane's Fairy.
Well, let's see whether we get a repeat of the third game in a row Dark Terra on the other side, or if Jacob goes a different route for this game.
The Dazzling Gleam does threaten a lot of damage right here, right now. Jacob does Terra.
Does Terra, and probably going to be seeing that Urshifu Ice is back.
And it is going to be Urshifu to Dark.
So, does he go into the Flutter Mane again? We know last time it did an awful lot of damage to that Flutter Mane.
Yeah, it nearly knocked it out in one hit. Tornadoes for Andrew, going to go ahead and set it up. Tailwind before Jacob gets a chance to do a repeat option. Both Tornadoes are essentially going to match Tailwinds here, so Flutter Mane does have a free shot to go for that Dazzling Gleam here with that Fairy Feather item, but as we've seen, it didn't knock out either Pokemon, and it didn't do much damage to the Tornadoes, even though it does half right there.
Yeah, so we'll see. Presumably, since Jacob didn't Sucker Punch, presumably he hit it back with Wicked Blow.
And here's the Wicked Blow. I wonder just whether the Tornadoes this time, no, it just goes after the Flutter Mane. We know it survives at least one of them, but it doesn't make it any safer from the Sucker Punch the next turn.
Exactly. The Sucker Punch probably takes those last 30 off.
Oh yeah, I actually like that Protect play, even though you can't protect in front of an Urshifu, because if you protect there, Sucker Punch fails, and that makes it like a wide open target for the Bleakwind Storm to take it out here. Oh, Jacob switching out Tornadoes.
Switching out, let's see what he switches in.
Lander is going to come in.
Back to Landers to get some Intimidates on some of those special attack users, so not so helpful.
Not so helpful, but if it does get swapped in safely, you know, just because you protect here and potentially read the Sucker Punch doesn't mean you can't be safe for the next turn, because Landers is holding that Choice Scarf, and it was the Sucker Punch.
The Sucker Punch again, yeah.
Now let's see if Bleakwind Storm connects on both targets. It missed at least one Pokemon here. It misses the Landers, but it does get the knockout on the Urshifu.
Yeah, and again, I think that's the choice Andrew would make. If he gets to pick one to hit, it's that he wants that Urshifu.
And that's a Terastallization gone for a third game in a row.
Yeah. We'll see whether so Landers I believe is Choice. Yeah, Choice Scarf. So
and the Flutter Mane comes out for Jacob.
Yeah, we'll see whether yes, there's two choice Pokemon in here. We've got the Choice Specs and the Choice Scarf. We'll see whether Rock Slide or Tomping Tantrum. And he goes with the Tantrum to finish off the Flutter Mane. That Choice Scarf makes Landers really fast, so as long as Tailwind's not opposing him, it's gonna go first no matter what.
Now it just comes down to what this Flutter Mane does here. It does lock itself into Dazzling Gleam. It is not enough for a knockout, even though it became single target. And the Bleakwind Storm, not doing a whole lot of damage to these Pokemon, but does get a speed drop in the Landorus.
That could be big. I don't remember exactly how fast Landorus is, whether it's going to be behind after the Tornadus. I don't think so.
Torkoal going to come in for Andrew, going to set up the Drow, but this inadvertently has consequences because it does activate the photosynthesis for the Flutter Mane.
Turn that special attack back higher again, and we'll see. It's interesting to bring Torkoal out before Lily. So, but he's just going to protect here. I'm guessing he's thinking Tornadus is gone, you know, and he's hoping maybe he gets a Bleakwind Storm off before it goes.
Torkoal is just going to protect and remain itself safe from the Dazzling Gleam and Snapping Tantrum combination. Flutter Mane does get to move first because of the Bleakwind Storm speed drop. And it is going to knock out the Tornadus before it gets a chance to attack. And now it's Lilycole versus whatever Jacob has in the back, which is currently Flutter Mane and Landers in the field and the Tornadus waiting in the trainer.
Yeah, so I think we have one more turn of Tailwind, match Tailwinds.
Oh, no, both of them are gone.
Oh, is it this turn? Oh, so interesting that Jacob didn't switch out the, switch in the Tornadus then.
Well, if there's Lilycole, there's a way, because after you, Eruption looks really good against two choice Pokemon.
Exactly.
I wouldn't imagine this knocks out the Flutter Mane, but it does knock out everything else.
A lot of damage.
Yeah, it knocks out everything else. I don't know if it knocks out the Flutter Mane.
Yeah, if it doesn't knock out the Flutter Mane, then all Jacob has to do is hit Tailwind next turn, I think.
And there's no switch outs either. Torkoal does go for the Charcoal boosted Eruption. It does knock out both Pokemon.
It does do enough.
And with the Tornadus in the back that cannot outspeed this Lilligant, and after you is just going to go ahead and be faster than the Tornadus at all, I think this is Andrew's game to lose.
Yeah, I think Jacob's going to look back on this and say, I wish I switched out my Landorus for Tornadus last turn. Because if he had pushed Tailwind, then Flutter Mane would have gotten to go first.
I don't think that would have even worked either, because if you switch Tornadus into an Eruption, it just faints.
Well, the last turn, Tornadus could have gone first.
There's a Protect.
Yeah.
I still think there's 4 turns left to Sun, so
yeah, that's not going to do much.
You'll need I think you need 4 Protects in a row in order to make that work, which isn't impossible.
I've seen 3. I've never seen 4. But you got to play to your outs, right? So Jacob knows his out at this point is wait till Sun's done. So
that's all he can do right now. And all Andrew can do is quick after your Eruption.
Yep.
See, Tornado gets another protector. 2 protects.
Ooh, that's the second one.
He just needs 2 more to get out of the sun. Doesn't even happen though.
After this one, it's a what, a 1 in 27 chance, right?
I believe so. After that, I mean, if we get that far,
1 in 9, and then 1 in
1 in 27, and if we get that far, probably 1 in 58, or 51.
Yeah. See if we get the third one.
Does he? Okay, does Jacob get their third protect in a row? They do not, and that is the end of the game, ladies and gentlemen. Andrew gonna go ahead and after you. Torque gonna go ahead and go on eruption, and he is gonna win this set 2-1. After we see the volcano blow.
And that finishes the Tornadoes. Yeah. So pretty close match, though. I think there was choices both players could have done a little differently there, but
in the end, Lilligant was the reason Andrew won the set, and gotta say, I think Lilligant still is a dangerous Pokemon into this metagame.
Yeah, Lilligant gives you a lot of opportunity, especially, I mean, Lillicold, Torkoal does so much damage that, if your opponent doesn't know exactly what to do to take care of it, or if they don't make exactly the right calls, right? Game 1, if he Wicked Blows instead of Sucker Punches, that's a very different game, right? So he makes the wrong read. And then Game 3, Andrew held it back, which was sort of interesting, so it allowed him to make sure that, even though the first part of that game didn't go well for him, right? He lost his first 2, fairly quickly. Being able to bring in Lilligant and Torkoal at the end meant that Jacob had already given up his Urshifu, which is his real answer for Lillicold there.
Yeah, very much so, and that's exactly how Andrew's going to win the first game of the mid-season showdown. When we come back, we're going to have round 2 on the screen, and I hope you don't go anywhere because we have a lot more Pokemon stuff to show off. So we'll be right back.